your tears away with a magic.
So I just got dress coded during an interview. And then they decided to reschedule the interview with me for tomorrow. But before they rescheduled, the lady was like, would you like to come back? And I go change and then come back. And I was like, no, these are the shorts.
Welcome back. So that video was just posted this week. That's a young woman, 28-year-old, who went on a job interview. And she was sent back because of her shorts. And she posted that moment. We're talking about the age wars, and we're joined by viral sensations DeAndre Brown and Kelly Mano, who create content about Gen Z and Gen X. And people passing judgment. In some cases, like that video we just saw, things can be pretty harsh. You could tell she was not feeling great about it, but she wanted to stand her ground on her shorts. Joining the conversation to help make sense of these age wars is author, professor, and psychologist who's been an expert in the age wars for over 30 years. She's written more than 180 scientific articles and books, including Generations, the real differences between Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, boomers, and silence, and what they mean for our future, America's future. She says much of what divides us now can be traced to social media, perhaps not as the sole cause, but as a crucial contributor. Please welcome Dr. Jean Twaney to our show. Dr. Jean, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, you know, because we've had great fun with Kelly and DeAndre and even Rachel with her viral video. But, you know, you do have people who I feel, in my opinion, are really unfair to the younger generation. You know, and I know that song, Every Generation Blames, da-da-da. What's at the heart of it, though?
Yeah. So, you know, I think first we really have to listen to what young people say about themselves. And so it's not about blaming. It's not about whose fault it is. It's not about older people saying, I don't know about young people. How are young people different now compared to in decades past? Yeah. So that's what I've tried to do in my work so we can understand and
Let's
have
start
empathy.
with work. How?
Yeah.
Because that's a big source of some of the disagreement of generations. You have the younger generation saying, listen, it's 5 o'clock. I am going home. That is, in theory, I think a wonderful thing because I wish I had some of those boundaries. That said, to succeed, you have to go overtime. A football game, a player, some of the best players in the world, people we admire were all people who worked past 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
They just are. And it's not for the money necessarily, it's for the love of the job. I mean, I don't want to just use sports figures, but Simone Biles, she doesn't become the GOAT going home early.
Correct.
So how do you balance it? But how do you balance that with her saying publicly, I needed a break?
Right. Right. So there's different perspectives here. And so what I found so interesting in the conversation, so what DeAndre was saying is backed up by lots of survey data. So that's what Gen Z says. They say at the same age that compared to previous generations, they're less likely to say I'm willing to work overtime. Yeah. They're less likely to say I expect work to be a central part of my life. So there's some
which I admire about that. But why does that bother the Gen X's out there?
Well,
and the boomers, don't get them in it. You'll be in trouble.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sure, because for boomers, a lot of them, they live to work. And for Gen X really started this trend of saying, look, we need some work-life balance. But the boomers didn't listen to them. Right. And so now with millennials, and especially with Gen Z, that's becoming much more part of the conversation about finding that balance. And so sometimes it's tough for Gen X. They're like, we were saying this a very long time ago, and we didn't get what we wanted. And now a lot of Gen Z is really speaking up and getting that. And it is true. There's those two perspectives. You know, is it work-life balance, or is it lack of work ethic? It depends on your generation, depends on whether you're the manager or the employee.
Are we in competition just naturally with the next generation? Is there something, I mean, you use the word feral to describe Gen X. Is there a natural part of the human psyche that will compare the way we were raised to the other generation?
I think so, and I think that's not necessarily bad. I mean, it's fascinating for young people to learn about how older generations grew up, and for older generations to understand a lot about the experience of Gen Z. And for Gen Z, a lot of that is around their experience with social media.
What about the idea that we are raising a softer generation? I am sensitive to that because I have a 5-year-old, and so I just got a video today. He was struggling to climb this little monkey bar, and I'm like, wait till I get home. We're gonna get that monkey bar, you know? And I'm like, but no, you know, like, I understand as a parent the desire to have him be strong, but I also understand as a young boy who's only 5, he should not feel like he's got to be macho on the monkey bars, you know? What is that about this notion that this generation is soft, or we are ruining them because we're not making them like us?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think that kind of language it ends up being counterproductive.
Right. And you see a lot of it on social media.
You do, absolutely. And that all the finger pointing and whose fault it is and blaming, it doesn't really get us anywhere. Because the thing is, there's these big cultural changes that have happened, and they're happening to all of us. And so just trying to understand what's going on is better. And are we softer now? Yeah, but Gen X is probably softer than boomers, who are softer than the generation before them. This has been going on for a really long time.
We're going to be putty in a minute. No, I'm kidding. You two are really, even though your content is comedic and it's fun, you are the people on the front lines, because so much of this conversation, as Dr. Jean pointed out, is happening on social media. DeAndre, what's been the big learning thing for you when you read some of those comments?
Yeah, I think the biggest learning thing for me is that realizing that the work is going to always happen. Yeah. There's always I'm starting the conversation, but I'm literally seeing online how that is making other younger generations and older generations really think more about how they're putting themselves first and how they're showing up for themselves when it comes to work, and not just making it
about money.
Yeah, it's
about
not
earning.
It's not all about earning and I'm not coming to work, or I'm lazy, or I don't want to work. But how can we find that balance? How can we find that balance where we still do work, but we also do advocate for ourselves, and we do still prioritize our mental health as well?
I love that. What's the big takeaway for you, Kelly? Because I said, I know you read the comments, and aside from the fun that we've had, what do you think is the takeaway from this age war, especially on social?
You mean like the backlash, or?
No, just the conversation. What's been the thing that's, I guess, for you, the understanding of where we are?
I think it's important for the younger kids to listen to us dinosaurs, because we are the last generation that knows what it's like to live in a world with and without internet. And when we're all dead and gone, that history is erased. So we just want to
That's a great point. I want to pause on that, because we've had both. We didn't have Twitter and we have Twitter. We didn't have internet and now we have. So we are this bridge.
Yeah, it's not that we don't like them at all. I think Gen Z is awesome. I think they're really fun. It's that we're trying to prepare them for what happens if their social world goes down, or the internet goes down, or God forbid your GPS craps out. Yeah. You know, you need to learn how to drive places. Right. You need to learn how to do basic survival skills without your phone. Oh. And that's what we're trying to show them.
We're trying to show them. Yeah. I get that. I get that, because we want to teach them. But do you think Gen X is too hard?
No. No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I think that we're doing better, and I love what DeAndre's doing, how he is. I have 3 kids, and I want everything he says to work. I want my kids to clock out at 5 o'clock. I hope that all happens for them. But I do want to make sure that they know how to handle everyday life as well.
Yeah, I love this conversation. Thank you to Dr. Twangy, our panelists. Listen, you can follow DeAndre and Kelly, their red hot social media handles